Welcome to Everyday Wine Reviews. My name is Christian and I'll be taking you on a wine tasting tour through your local grocery store wine selection. Every bottle in our show will be $30 or less, so with that being said, let's pop some bottles. This week's spread will be starting with a Pinot Noir from Kendall Jackson out of Santa Rosa, California. This is a 2014 bottle and it's marked at $14.99. It is also the Vintner's Reserve, so hopefully that suggests it'll be absolutely delicious. As I'm smelling this wine, it definitely comes off as a nice touch of cedar. You get a little bit of that wood, but there's also a lot of darker fruits. It alludes to a nice spiciness too. Very, very subtle, but it kind of adds to that suggestion that it's going to be a little bit more complex. Here it goes. It's a very pleasant wine. It's very, very smooth. It's not very, very dry at all. I would say it's more like a semi-sweet. It's also very, very approachable. There's not too much complexity on the palate. So as I'm going through, it's a lot of fruit, a lot of darker fruits. I would say there's a lot of plum. There's even a nice hint of raspberry to it as well. The finish is really nice too. It doesn't last on my tongue too long. It kind of just drops off at the back, so there's not that dry bitterness or that starchiness at the back of your mouth at all. It's definitely a nice one for probably just sitting around having a few glasses and watching a movie. I would say this is a great, a light comedy movie. I could see myself sitting around watching some Kevin Hart. The tannin, like I said in the previous episode, is all about the skin of the grape, so you get that waxiness. This has almost no tannin to it. There is a slight touch of it where it doesn't leave your mouth necessarily feeling super sweet, but it is very, very approachable, or very soft, if you will. Feels like a nice soft cheese too, maybe like a softer Havarti or a milder cheddar. This is a great wine to just sit around and enjoy with mom. The wine is very light. Oop. The wine is very light in body. You can tell because you can see through it very, very easily. It seems like it's going to be very, very approachable and soft. It's kind of fun because the smell is very, very different from the way it tastes. There's a lot of dark fruits, a lot of the plum, a little bit of black cherry, very prominent raspberry. For the price point at $14.99, I would say for the beginning wine drinker, this is a solid 3.5, but for anybody who's had wine and likes a little bit more tart or dryness, it's more like a 3. Not bad. The next bottle that we'll be tasting today is a Chardonnay from Clos du Bois. It is out of Sonoma County, California. And this is a 2014 bottle marked at $13.49, so this is another moderately priced bottle, but it is the Sonoma Reserve, so hopefully that suggests the same thing as the previous bottle, and that it's going to be just as good. Alright, that is a very nice light yellow. Definitely has that oakiness to it on the nose, on the smell. That's what the fancy sommeliers call it, is the aroma or the nose, or even better yet, bouquet. But it definitely has a typical description of a Chardonnay where that buttery oakiness is very prominent. Hopefully it's pretty well balanced though. And by balanced I mean that the oakiness isn't too overwhelming or the butteriness isn't just all over the place. Alright. My initial reaction is that it's got a very nice front end where it's get that oakiness right away, but it also has a nice touch of pear. Towards the middle of your mouth, you get like a nice hint of citrus. The butteriness of it is a big part of the wine, but it's not necessarily overwhelming. It's got a good balance for a Chardonnay, that's important. It's not super sweet, but it's not super dry either. I would say this is more of like another semi-sweet, similar to the last bottle. Definitely has like a candied pearness to it, or a candied apple. Definitely a very drinkable wine. Another great one for beginning Chardonnay drinkers, or even just wine drinkers in general, where it's not big and sweet, and it's not super dry either, so it's a wine that you can drink really easily and appreciate, even if you're not doing anything super special. Chardonnays go great with fettuccine alfredo. Basically any dish that goes with a white sauce, or even like a lightly grilled chicken with a nice provolone cheese, or I would say this would also go very good with like a vanilla creme brulee as a dessert, if you get one that's just spot on where it's not too dry, kind of like this one here. Yeah, for $13.49 and its accessibility, it's a great bottle to get your palate moving in the right direction, as well as pairing it with a lot of really common dishes. A solid 4.5 out of 5. It's a very well balanced white wine, especially for a Chardonnay where sometimes that oak can be kind of overbearing. The last bottle for our spread today is the Relax Riesling. It is a 2015 bottle out of Germany. It is marked at $8.99 a bottle, so this is our cheapest, most affordable bottle in our selection. But it is one of the more pretty bottles, I gotta say. It's that beautiful blue color that is mostly affiliated with Rieslings. Also, I love the name of it because it's relax, you know? Relax. It's just wine. You get to chill, hang out, and enjoy a beautiful bottle just like this. It's definitely another lighter yellow color, lighter than even the last one, not nearly as golden. Definitely a Riesling. You get a lot of that apple, that green apple right on the nose. Right from the start, I'm really enjoying this. It's not super sweet, but it's not dry either. It's more like a medium sweet. Very prominent with that light pear that kind of just rides all the way through the back of your mouth. On the finish, you get a little bit of tart though too. It kind of comes with that green apple, as well as a nice crisp finish too. It's refreshing. It's definitely a nice one to enjoy with a dessert. It would go great specifically with Granny Smith green apples. I could see myself sitting out in an orchard, taking a bite, taking a sip. Yeah, it's not thick and syrupy. I love green apples. Absolutely love them, so this is a big one for that. It's crisp, but not overbearingly tart either. It has a very nice overall finish to it too, where you get that pear in the front end of it, but then it turns into a green apple as you're done and over with. That kind of rides the back of your tongue for quite some time. This is a great dessert style wine where you can have a full glass and maybe even two without actually getting sick of it as well. Not much more I can say other than that. It's very enjoyable. It's not super refreshing, but it's also crisp and does just the job it needs to do. For a wine that really accentuates that green apple and that pear, it's a great buy at $8.99. I would say it's a solid 4. Great for anybody that's getting into wines that's still pretty partial to sweet wines, but it's still very, very complex in its own right, and you can still have a full glass of it without getting sick, especially for a guy like me. Thanks for joining us this week on Everyday Wine Reviews with your host, Christian the Wine Guy. Tune in next week, we'll be doing another set of a red, a white, and a sweet wine, so we'll see you then. Cheers.